hear it all the time, right? Egg donation is this incredible, generous gift. But what's the real difference between someone who donates once and a top-tier donor who is constantly in demand? It's a whole different ballgame. So let's break down the insider's playbook for becoming a truly successful egg donor, going way beyond just the basics. I mean, look at that number. It sounds wild, doesn't it? But this is a real figure from a real person's journey. And this question, well, it's the key to the whole thing. The answer tells you everything you need to know about what intended parents are really looking for in this incredibly personal, high-stakes process. Okay, so check this out. This is that case study, laid out visually. We're looking at an Ivy League donor's compensation over 5 cycles. See that climb? It's insane. She started at $40,000, but by her 5th cycle, it shot up to $200,000. Now, here's what's so important to get. Her education, her background, none of that changed. What changed was her proven track record. And that, right there, is everything. And that really brings us to the main point. In the world of egg donation, past performance is pretty much the best predictor of future success. It's not just about being generous. It's about being reliable. It's about delivering results. You got to remember, intended parents are investing everything, their hopes, their emotions, a ton of money. And for them, that feeling of confidence is worth paying a premium for. So let's really put these two side by side. A first-time donor, they're all about potential, which is great, but it's still, an unknown. Parents are hopeful, but it's a bit of a gamble. A proven donor, on the other hand, represents reliability. They have a history. You can look back and see that they produce good quality eggs that lead to healthy embryos. That success is what commands the higher pay, because it replaces hope with a much, much higher level of confidence. To really get why that confidence is so valuable, you have to understand what happens after the eggs are retrieved. People in the industry call it the embryo funnel, and it's basically a process where the numbers just drop at every single stage. And that is why starting with a really strong number of high-quality eggs is so critical. All right, let's walk through a pretty typical cycle. Let's say a great retrieval yields 20 eggs. That's our starting point. Seems like a fantastic number, right? And it is, but this is just the beginning of the journey. And trust me, every single one of those eggs is going to count. And boom, right away, we see the first drop. You see, not every egg that's retrieved is actually mature enough to be fertilized. Just like in nature, some just aren't at the right stage. So in our example, we're already down to 15. Only these eggs can even move on to the next step. Now, from those 15 mature eggs, the hope is that they'll all fertilize in the lab. But again, biology has other plans. Maybe only 12 of them successfully fertilize. It's another huge hurdle to clear, so our number drops again. And we're not done yet. So for the next 5 or 6 days, it's basically a waiting game. The embryologists are watching to see which of those fertilized eggs keep dividing and growing into what are called blastocysts. That's the stage where an embryo is strong enough for the next step. And not all of them make it. In our funnel, we're now down to just 8. Now this is often the biggest and most heartbreaking drop of all. The remaining embryos go through genetic screening to check for any chromosomal issues. And it is incredibly common for half or even more to be found abnormal. So after starting with 20 eggs, this family is now pinning all their hopes on just 4 genetically normal embryos. And here's the final nail-biting step. Even a perfect, genetically normal embryo is still not a 100% guarantee. The average success rate for a transfer is around 60%. So those 4 precious embryos give the parents a few shots at their dream. When you see this funnel, you get it. You totally understand why a donor who consistently helps create a high number of normal embryos is just so incredibly valuable. So that's the big question, right? How much of this can a donor actually control? Well, while your genetics obviously play a huge role, a surprising amount of this is actually in your hands. It all comes down to a pretty clear 4-step playbook. And here it is, the 4 pillars of a successful donation. It's all about mastering the medical side of things, acing every single screening, getting your health in top shape, and just being completely committed to the entire process. Let's dig into a couple of these that really make all the difference. Okay, mastering the protocol is completely non-negotiable. We're not talking about being mostly on time. A single missed shot, especially something like ganirelix, which stops you from ovulating too early, can literally cause the entire cycle to fail. We're talking 0 eggs, retrieved. It means you have to be meticulous, set alarms, and most importantly, never, ever guess. If you're not sure about something, you call the clinic. Period. Now, this is the stuff you can control. Your lifestyle choices in the months before donation can have a real impact on your egg quality. And this means taking action, focusing on a clean, high-protein diet, really making sleep a priority, and doing moderate exercise like walking or yoga, nothing too intense. And a lot of clinics will recommend supplements like CoQ10 and prenatals to help support the health of the eggs as they develop. And then there's the one thing none of us can change: age. This quote is pretty blunt, but it's the honest truth. The sweet spot for donation is usually between 21 and 29. Once you get past 30, the opportunities start to shrink fast. And why is that? Well, it's because egg quality naturally goes down with age. So for anyone even thinking about this, starting earlier gives you more time to potentially do multiple cycles and build that all-important track record. So when you put all of these pieces together, the perfect timing on meds, the healthy lifestyle, the total commitment, it builds something much bigger than just one successful cycle. It builds a reputation. And that reputation comes with some serious rewards. First, and the most obvious one we've been talking about, is way higher compensation with every single cycle you do. Second, donors with a proven track record are in crazy high demand. That means you spend a lot less time waiting around to be matched. You're the one that agencies and parents are seeking out. And finally, it all comes together to build you this trusted reputation. You're not just a profile on a website anymore. You become known for being reliable, responsible, and for helping create those successful outcomes. And in this world, that is the ultimate currency. Which kind of brings us full circle. The whole process starts from a place of generosity, right? It is a gift. But to become one of those top-tier, in-demand donors, that takes the discipline, the focus, and the commitment of a professional. It's this really unique place where altruism and accountability meet. So is it a gift? Is it a job? Or is it maybe this incredibly powerful and rewarding combination of both? Definitely something to think about.